Kevin with Board Game Losers, and I want to talk about Merv. Now, Merv is a game that my wife got me. Really wanted because I'm really enthralled by an artist called Tool. And as you can see how colorful the board is, the heart of the Silk Road Merv, he once again outdid himself with the color, the artwork, the design. It's absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to move this out of the way. Now, one of the cool things about board games is that they have some historical significance in the background stories that they give, and some of them actually refer to actual places that existed either currently or in history. In this instance, Merv was an area controlled by the Turkish, I guess, government at the time. That probably didn't have a government back then, but under Turkish rule. And Merv was a large, or well, actually one of the largest cities in the world in the 12th century. I think it had something like 500,000 people. So I thought that was pretty amazing when I went through the rule book and I got to see that. And the only problem with Merv is they had to deal with the Mongolians, and that didn't go so good. So I'll let you research that, but that is what it is. Now, Merv has been restored today. I think it's like a tourist attraction, but the actual trade route of the Silk Road there was a real thing, and that's what this board game represents. And I really like that about board games. Now, when I told my wife that Merv was a real place, then we started talking about other board games that she didn't realize that were named after real places, like Le Havre, one of my other favorite games. That's a real place. It's a real harbor where trade took place. So, you know, I like that. I've talked a couple times with some friends about getting board games like this into schools, especially the history classes, because it would give the kids something interactive to do while they learn something. Like I recently played Nemo's War. We all know the story about Nemo. Now, Nemo's, I guess, a historical person in his own right. So now I did terrible being Nemo. So hopefully he doesn't hold that against me. Anyway, so on to Merv. Since Merv is about establishing trade routes and things like that, there's a lot of areas of the board where you get to do various things. So there's several different actions you can take. I'm going to do a quick overview of the game only because I love it so much and I just want to show off the artwork. But I'll go over the sections. So this area right here is the library. At the library, you can spend resource cubes, which like here on the left, in order to obtain scrolls. However many resources you spend depends on the scrolls that you get. Now the scrolls are these little guys right here. Oops, dropped one. Oh, I dropped it again because I am amazing. All right, so there you go. There's some scrolls, which is kind of cool. They actually have the indication of different writing, and what's really neat, I don't know if you can see that, but they're not all the same. The writing style is different on them, so that's pretty cool. So once you obtain a certain amount of scrolls, say I have 2, then I automatically get this tile, which shows I have 2 scrolls. You don't turn the scrolls in. That's another thing I like about this game. And then you gain a reward. We won't go over the reward, but that's how the library works. The next is, this is the market. And as you can see, the center here is Merv, and you're establishing trade routes with different cities. Ray, Nishapur, Basra, Baghdad, Samarkand, Kashgar, and the other 2 I'm not going to try to pronounce because I don't want to offend anybody. But when you go to those certain places, you will pay this resource cube and obtain this good. And that's really as simple as that. Now, in order to get to establish a trade route, you have to have one in an adjacent city. So that's how that works. The next area is the caravansary, which right here, and what this does is allow you to get cards, and you can see it says you can take a card with a camel on it, or the card next to the camel. If you take the one with the camel on it, you gain the camel, and of course the camel has some working functions in the game. And over here are the cards. Now, I'm going to tie the caravansary. The reason the caravan thing is up here is because it's right next to the influence track. So as you are establishing trade routes, you're gaining influence, and the more influence you have, as you can, I don't know if you can see this here, but this, until you can have one spice, one type of spice, until you get to this part of the influence track, which then you could have two. So in starting out, you could only have, say, cinnamon. But if you get to here, then you can have cinnamon and juniper. And it goes so on, then you can have 3 and then 4 different types of spice. Now the spices, I'll pull up the cinnamon here. Once you obtain 2 of the cards, you can see the 2 little dots there. Once you get a 2 cinnamon, so if I had 2 cinnamon, I'm not going to grab another one, you get the idea, then I would be able to get a white resource cube. Okay, so that's why you want to do that. And you get that for every pair that you make. And at the end of the game, depending on how many of a set you have, that's how many points you get. So that's one way to score points in Merv. Also, as you go up on the influence track, the further up you go, the more points you can score. So moving on, let's go to the wall, which is right below the influence track. Now the wall is a place where you can build like this in order to protect cities that you're built, cities that are built. And you'll want to do that because as the game goes, we'll grab you're going to have a building here, and each wall protects the 2 spots inward that it's in front of. So as you can see here, this one's protected because it's protected from this wall and this wall. And that's why you want to buy walls. So as the game progresses, and since we're talking about walls, let's talk about the year tracker. Now the year tracker shows a couple of Mongolian symbols. That's the black hexagon here with the white horse man with I think he's got a bow and arrow on him. And what that does is that means the Mongolians attack. So if you're not protected here, the Mongolians are going to attack, and basically I think your building just comes off the board. And that has significant, could be a significant impact as the game goes, but I mean, I'm okay with that. So we have to have something coming at us all the time, don't we? But anyway, so you get your buildings here built in the city, and then you want to protect them with the walls. The next track over here, this is the mosque track. The mosque track is just a track that you can advance on. As you advance up the track, you pay resource cubes to advance, and like you can see here, advancing on the first one costs a beige cube, and then you gain the camel, and you'll track that with your discs. So you'll bring a disc up here. Then of course the next one costs a red resource cube, then a teal. And once you go up on the track, you can't go over this way. You've set your path, and this is the way you're going to go. So I'm not going to cover every little rule, but I just wanted to tell you. And as you move up, you get the camel. You get this upgrade here for your building. So say I got this upgrade, it would go over here. It would cover up one thing, but then it becomes a white resource. Now, white resource cubes are wild in this game, so that's why that is a benefit. This right here lets you the building upgrade like this, so that you have a couple things on there. Then you have 2 cubes. I'm going to leave that there, and I'll show you that in just a minute. I just want to go over the track. Anyway, that's what you do on the track. So as you move up, you gain different types of rewards that can benefit you in some way in the game. The next one down here is the palace. The palace action lets you place one of your people in one of these sections here, which the more people you have, like for this example, I've got 1 meeple in this area, at the end of a year, we're going to be able to score points, and I will get 1 point times however many scrolls I have. And I believe you can have more people in here now. But that is one way that you can score points. It's also a way to gain favor. So right below here, you have the favor track. So if I was to put my meeple on the hat right here, I'd be able to move up on this favor track. And so as you move up, you can see you gain points. So that's another way to gain points is on the favor track below the palace. So we went over the library, the market, the caravan, the wall, the mosque, and so now let's talk about the city of Merv and how you perform all those actions. What you're going to do is you're going to take your main meeple, and as you can see, he's pretty enormous compared to the other guy, the other regular meeple, and you're going to be able to choose one of these 5 places. Wherever you place your building, your main meeple, that signifies the column or row that you can choose to activate. So when you activate, you gain resources and you gain the action depicted on the tile. So this, let me pick this up here so I can show you. This is how I get to do like the library action, for example. So by activating that location, I can do the library action. And of course here, the caravan, the mosque, so on and so forth. I think you get the idea. Now, the reason you want to do those upgrades, like the one I did earlier, is because instead of getting just one teal cube resource, I would be able to get a beige and a teal. All right? So that's the purpose of that. Now, I want to go back to the influence track up here and show you how you go up on it. So we talked about building walls. So let's say that I go to this spot up here at the top, and I decide to activate this tile, which has the wall action. Then what I can do is I can build this wall, and I build it here, and I'm going to gain influence on the number of buildings I'm protecting. So in that situation there, I would gain 1. So then I would go up. Let me use these right here. I would go up on this track. Okay. Now, as I go up on that track, I'm going to gain more benefits. So, like the spices and whatnot. And that's how you would go up on the influence track. Now, another cool thing about that, let's say that blue had a home here, and I activated that. Well, I'm going to get 1 point for myself, but you get more for protecting someone else. I'll get 2 for protecting blue, so that would be 3. Now, there's some more actions on the game to where you're able to actually activate different areas. So, for instance, let's say that I activated blue's tile here so that I could build the wall. Well, I get this, but then blue also gets the cube. So that's the good thing about that. So if someone can actually activate someone else's tile, it doesn't matter whose building's on there. You can still activate those tiles. Now, the good thing about that is your actions are never blocked. I know in the board game world, we always talk about take that and mechanisms that keep you from doing what you want to. That's not going to happen here. Now, what will happen is if you had multiple buildings in that row and somebody goes there, then you wouldn't be able to activate a building in that row. But if someone else had a building in a row, then you could activate it, which I like that. I like that a lot. And the reason the track is set up like this is as the game goes, one of the other aspects of the game I like is you're going to compete for player order. Being able to get up to the number you want to get really matters. And how that works is if we have we have all these people here on this track. Now, what's going to happen now is people are going to be able to move up. And if I'm not mistaken, the person in last place gets to place first So if you don't go further on the track, then you can do that. And actually, that's not true. The person last gets to choose first, but they have to spin camels. So they're fourth, right? They have to spin camels. And I'm going to take these off of here just for the benefit of this. If they want to go third, they have to spin the camel like that. Let me lay that down so you can see that. If they wanted to go second, they'd spin 2 camels like that. And then the next person, if they went here, they would gain that camel. And there's more to that, but that's the gist of it. So you gain a benefit. You can actually get into first place, and you can gain a benefit even if somebody does. So if somebody takes your position, you may get a camel. So anyway, that's the basics of Merv. I did not talk about these contracts that you can fulfill. And you can see these little red things right here. That's another way you go up once you get on the influence track. And anytime you see the hat, and the hat's not only here, it's in other places like on the Moss track here. This will help you go up on the favorite track down here at the Palace. So you can always do those things. But this is showing you the requirements. So you're going to need 2 scrolls and a good rare or not. And you can see there's blue and brown goods. Okay. Now here's what I like about this. Whenever you fulfill this contract and you have your scrolls, right? You're like, oh God, you got to turn in that stuff to get. No. You get to keep the scrolls. They just simply go on it. You dedicate them to here. But what's really cool is those scrolls, even though they're dedicated to this contract, still count towards my library. So I'm not having to start that over and collect even more scrolls in order to get those benefits. For instance, like that, instantly you get to move up 2 on the favorite track. So I get to move up 2 there. So that is pretty cool. All right. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I enjoyed making it. And I hope you get a chance to try out Merv. Once again, this is Kevin with Board Game Loser.